Welcome back to another episode of the Casey Campbell podcast. Casey Campbell with you, of course. Pleased to be joined by the one, the only Michael Horton of Cranbrook Hockey. How's it going?
It's going good. Thanks for having me on here. I'm just really glad to be a part of this and super excited to have a conversation.
Yeah. Okay, so what has this last month been like since you guys won the state title?
Well, to be honest, when we first won the state title, I couldn't even it was hard for me to process it. I'd just be texting with my friends randomly, and I'd just be like, "Did you know we won a state championship?" And they're like, "Yes, Michael, we were there." But other than that, I've just been going to the gym pretty much every day instead of hockey. So like normally after school, I go down to the hockey rink. But now I'm just going to the gym and it's not too difficult of a change. And I mean, from time to time, I miss hockey. I still hang out with my teammates all the time. We talk about like, oh, I want to be doing this and that, but I've been doing all right. Just staying active, staying ready, all that. So,
To know that, it's been, to go into this, I'm pretty sure you've had time to reflect back on the season and obviously with, cleaning out the locker room and, I'm not sure if you had the banquet yet and all that, but um, what has it been like to reflect back on what you guys accomplished?
oh, it's crazy. And I think one of the most common things is um, I just kind of think back to we had a very I wouldn't say we had a slow start to the season, but we certainly came around towards the end. So it's just interesting for me to sometimes think about like times in November and December and even I was out for a few games at least. I had mono. So it's just cool for me to think back on those times when I was just like, oh my God, like how are we gonna do this? And then like bang, we win a state championship. So like the comparison is really, really eye-opening.
Yeah, I know a lot of people have asked, about that time, when you guys weren't doing well. What was that time like?
Well, to be honest, we have a pretty new team this year. We have a pretty young team. I mean, we have some guys obviously with experience, but for the most part, I think we had like 10 sophomores. And no matter how talented or whatever you are with a completely new team, it's going to take a while to get used to each other, to trust each other. That was a very important thing for us. We trusted each other a ton down the stretch, and I just don't think that was there earlier in the season. And I think once we started to trust each other, I think that made a huge difference in the way we were playing and the way we were able to execute what we needed to do out there.
I know a lot of people like to talk about, and I mentioned when Roman was on here and when Garrett was on here. When was that kind of like that turning point for you? Um, when when you guys started to really, come into your own?
Well, I think there was two turning points, at least for me. The first one being it was a loss. We lost to Catholic Central 3-1. And one might look at that and go, oh, you lost 3-1. What's the huge interest in that? Well, we were up half the game. We scored like a minute or two into the game, and then we were up until the middle of the second period. And up until that point, that was our best game of the year. And I mean, I know we got outshot and outplayed, but I mean, it's Catholic Central. What are you going to do? But we really hung with them for a while during that game. And I think that point we started to believe that maybe us really coming together and becoming a really good hockey team was a real possibility. And then when we went into Orchard Lake St. Mary's, I don't know exactly when it was, but I think a couple of weeks later, after a good MIHL showcase, and when we beat them 3-0, everyone was just like, wow, like we can do this. Like if we can play that way against them, then there's no telling what we can do in playoffs against whoever we get thrown up against.
Yeah. When everyone's going to talk about the playoff run and all that stuff, but what was the locker room like as you guys, began your journey?
Well, actually in the locker room we had a big list of like every team. So it would go regional semifinals, regional finals, state quarters, state semis, state finals. And so regional semis, Marysville, we'd cross that off. And then regional finals, leg it, we crossed it off. And then every team that we progressively played, we would just cross their name off. And in the locker, that was just right on the whiteboard in our locker room. And I think we all really started to believe, especially after we won our region, like, hey, like we can do this. And we just really started building each other up, encouraging each other, motivating each other. And I think that really helped us a lot.
Yeah. Obviously a lot of people are gonna, talk about Garrett coming in and all that stuff. What did he really bring to this team?
Well, I remember when I first got the news that he would be joining us, I immediately called my dad and I was like, Dad, like you'll never believe what happened. And he's like, what? And I'm like, Garrett, like Duddler, is joining our team because we all knew Garrett. He had gone to our school for years. He just hadn't been a part of our team. And my dad was like, no way, like that's awesome. And I really think he helped us feel extremely confident. Um, Especially our defensemen. If you know if that you make a mistake or you let something go, there's going to be one of the best goaltenders in the state, if not the best, in my opinion. Um, going to be there to support you and back you up at any moment. And I think we had three really good goalies this year. Um, Stephen Louisel and Blake Tice were both new, and I think those three were also able to learn a lot off of each other. I mean, in all ways. So I think that really benefited the three of them because in our first regional semifinal game, Garrett didn't even play. I believe he had an injury or something like that. So, like literally during warmups, we knew we had to go with, we weren't able to go with him. But I think they were all really able to feed off each other really well, and it gave us a lot of confidence with him back there.
Yeah. A lot of people, when you got to USA, I wasn't a lot. I don't think people that know the game well, have said like, we expect you guys to be there, but I don't know if a lot of people expected you guys, this team, after all that you've been through. And then, of course, after the Houghton game, what was that like to come out and get a big win like that heading into the championship game?
Well, I remember before we played Houghton, like the day before, I was in the kitchen with my dad, and I'm like, Dad, like we have to play Houghton, like this is gonna be difficult, all like this and that. And and then when the game started, I think just everything clicked. Obviously we knew what we were up against. We knew how good they were or how good people said they were. And we honestly just played our game. We played the game that Coach LaFontaine had instilled in us perfectly. And we became really extremely opportunistic. We got a good game in net. And especially from a team that had struggled with scoring goals all year, beating a team like that, especially 5-0, and I don't even think they had allowed 5 goals in a game all year. That was like that just gave us a ton of confidence as a team, especially going into the finals.
And then of course the championship game, going to all those overtimes and, I obviously, you know, I know a state record was broken in the process. When EGR got I think the first goal with 12 seconds in, but coming away with, what you came there for, what did that mean to get that win to cap off your career at Cranbrook with the championship?
For me, it was unbelievable, incredible feeling, and I mean, I had been working. Everybody on this team, not just me, all the guys have been working so hard for years and years and years, and all the time spent in the weight room and on the ice and everything this year. I know we complained a lot. We're like, why do we have to do this? Why do we have to do that? When things got tough physically. But I think at that moment, every single person was just like, all of this was worth it. I wouldn't change anything, things along those lines. So it was just crazy for me. I know it was crazy for everybody on the team.
So what was it like after knowing that you were gonna that when did it hit you that holy crap, we just won the state championship?
Um, definitely not during the goal celebration. I think when we were outside getting on our bus, getting ready to leave the rink, and we had the trophy with us, and I was taking pictures with my dad and all of that. I was just oh my God, we just won a state championship. And it was obviously something that I had longed for an extremely long time, but I knew we could, but I didn't know if we actually would. There was a level of like doubt in my head, not doubt, but um, I knew it was going to be a long road ahead, and I'm just unbelievably honored and blessed for that to happen.
Yeah. Okay. So, I know obviously everyone in the world knows about where you go to high school. Well, most people do. I mean, one of the most recognizable schools in all over the world. I mean, parents will send their kids from everywhere to come here. Yeah, I know you live locally in the area. Um, what is it like to go to a school that has had a track record of, people that have ran for president of the United States, people that are in Congress currently right now, people that are currently playing in the NHL, who have started Indy 500s. What's it like to be associated with all those people?
I think for Cranbrook, especially Cranbrook hockey, but just the school in general, there's a really high level of expectation of what you need to do. With Cranbrook athletics, all the work you need to put in. And I know, I mean, even after we won the championship, people would be like, "Oh, it's Cranbrook, it's a private school, this and this and that." Um, but also when I read those comments, I think like we had a losing record in the regular season. Like
Yeah,
we are not some crazy like Catholic Central like powerhouse. We had a losing record in the regular season. So I don't even think the argument that certain people try to make against us, against Cranbrook, I don't even think that's valid. But the expectation here, I mean, the weight room and the locker room, all of that, it's certainly above any other level that I've ever seen.
yeah. Kind of talk about, how long have you been playing hockey? Talk about maybe some of, outside of winning a state championships, maybe some of your best memories of just overall playing the sport.
I mean, I started playing probably around 5 years old, if I had to assume. Maybe I'd been skating for a little bit longer, but playing
Yeah.
hockey competitive at least for 5 years old.
Mhm.
And just throughout the whole process, I mean, hockey's been my number one sport for a long time. And I mean, I know I used to play baseball, used to do tennis and stuff like that. And eventually I just kind of reached a point where I was like, okay, I need to pick what I'm gonna do. And for me, I mean, that was a no-brainer hockey. And then during high school, especially like going into junior year, going into senior year, I just became extremely dedicated, like all day, every day. I mean, even in the off season, I'd be skating almost every day, working out pretty much every day. And I mean, at the time, it might have not been as fun, but now looking back at the consistency, I'm really proud of what I was able to do, and I'm just extremely happy with the way everything turned out, how I ended my high school career at least, and so I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah. Um, kind of tell me a little bit about, what's next for you. I know you only have at time of recording, you only have a few more weeks left, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
So are you trying to soak it all in and just trying to enjoy these last few weeks as a high schooler?
yeah, pretty much. I mean, I think the official date that we end is like May. It's around May 10th, so I'd say 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, it really still hasn't even hit me yet that like, damn, I have 3 weeks left of high school. Um, which I mean, I can remember being a freshman before my first day. I mean, I wouldn't say I was freaking out, but I was like, oh my God, I'm about to be in high school. I remember that very vividly. And then now to like reflect back on that and be like, oh damn, I'm graduating in 3 weeks. It's it's a very interesting comparison to make, but I'm excited for everything that's ahead of me.
Yeah. What are your plans for next year?
So I'll be attending Purdue. I believe that starts in August, second week of August, third week of
Mhm.
August-ish. So I'll be heading there for college. I'm not sure if I'll play club there or what the whole deal with that is. I have to still have to figure that out. but I toured there a few weeks ago over spring break with my dad. Went extremely well. I liked it. He liked it. So I think that's what I'm going to be doing next year.
I should probably clarify it is Purdue University. I know there's a lot of other Purdue's out there. Of course, going to a Big Ten school, did you ever like, what was have you always liked, has Purdue always been on your radar or anything?
Yeah, I think it has. I mean, I knew I didn't want to like stay at home and like commute somewhere, obviously, but I also didn't want to go somewhere extremely far. I didn't want to go like to the West Coast or like down south or something like that. So I think Purdue is a perfect median where, I mean, I'm not home, obviously. I'm going to be living somewhere else in West Lafayette, Indiana. But I mean, I'll still be able to visit. I'll still be able to come home maybe once a month. The drive's only 4.5 hours.
Yeah.
So I just think it's a nice balance of being close, but not too close. So yeah, I wouldn't have it any other way.
Talk about, I know you mentioned your dad. Just really, what has he kind of meant to you in kind of your career and, up to this point?
He's been so much. He's been extremely supportive ever since day one. I mean, I could come to him with like a problem. I mean, literally like the day before we played like Houghton, I'd be like, Dad, like, oh my God, we're playing Houghton, this and this and that. And he'd always have a way with his words to be able to calm me down or make me believe a little bit more or whatever. But I couldn't ask for anything better from him. And he's been amazing throughout this whole process.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so and then finally, just what does it mean to, to play for this program, to play for Cranbrook hockey, and what are you going to miss about it?
It's been everything. I was on JV my freshman and sophomore year, like before I really started to put the work in. And then I could see, I mean, the harder I worked, if I just kept working hard, if I kept progressing, I mean, sophomore year, or junior year, I went from being on JV the year previously I mean, being one of the top goal scorers on the varsity team in just a 1 year's difference. So I really think at some point I just noticed that, I mean, if you work hard, if you truly dedicate yourself, you can do so much. And I mean, there was times this year when, I mean, I had various illnesses throughout the year. But I think, and all in the end, I'm just like, yeah. I mean, if you work hard, if you build yourself up, build your teammates up, you really can do anything. I've been trying to instill that in some of the younger kids, at least, trying to give them that same sort of dedication and motivation.
All right, Michael, let's I can't leave you without getting to know you a little bit. How about that?
All right,
Okay. I think this is an obvious one. Favorite team to root for?
Red Wings, obviously.
Yeah. Even though you're wearing a Lions shirt right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, Red Wings. I mean, Detroit sports teams. That's my thing. I mean, I watch them all the time, so
Yeah, been through some pain. Um,
definitely.
this year was good with the Lions, obviously, the Red Wings and stuff. And of course, you can't forget about Michigan winning the national championship. Um, so yeah. Favorite player growing up?
Um, Growing up, it's probably Pavel Datsuk. I mean, I feel like that's kind of basic, but I mean, I just love the way get away with his hands, just make something out of nothing all the time. And I mean, I watch pretty much every single Red Wings game. Even though the last one was kind of heartbreaking for the playoff hopes and all of that, but I'd say Datsuk for sure.
Yeah. Um, okay. Favorite, let's see. Favorite food.
Mm, Favorite food. Probably sushi to be honest. I love sushi. I mean, I just had sushi like right before this. I mean, I don't know, what's my favorite roll? Probably tuna rolls, spicy tuna rolls. I love sushi.
Yeah. Um, let's see. Hmm. Favorite movie.
Um, I used to watch this movie a ton with my dad, Central Intelligence, with Kevin Hart and The Rock. And I remember we used to watch it together like all the time. I mean, we watched it like six different times. Like it would just be on the TV, and me and him would just watch it together.
Yeah. And then finally, what's something people do not know about you, Michael?
Hmm, that's a good question.
Like what's an interesting fact people would never guess about you?
Um, I mean, the people close to me know this, but I mean, if you really weren't too close to me or anything, I've gotten like extremely into like, I don't want to say like the power of like diet, but kind of how what you eat like affects you.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. I mean, the people close to me like know about that, but I mean, I've really, especially over the last year or two, really started to like watch what I eat, make sure I'm eating
Yeah.
well, healthy, like not having like Coke or like anything like that, like nothing garbage like that. And I've noticed a crazy difference between the before and after in that. And I think that was really something that was able to help me.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, if you don't eat out like a ton of fast food, you're gonna lose some weight. It also balances with exercise as well. I mean, I've learned that myself these last few months. So,
Yeah,
uh,
absolutely.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's always important to eat right and exercise and live a very happy life. So,
Yeah. Especially when you're an athlete.
absolutely. All
So
right. Well, Michael, thank you so much for the time as always. Congrats on winning a state title and best of luck to you at Purdue.
yeah, thank you so much for having me on again.